whisper of longing that called me home. I felt her in my bones, in my breath, in the sudden and inexplicable lifting of my weary spirit. She was orbiting me, close at heart, eagerly awaiting our cosmic reacquaintance. Let there be no doubt, all love connections are not created equal. Some bonds are simply practical. Others are blindly rooted in pathology and old traumas. Still others are opportunities to heal and have essential needs finally met. And some have a mystical quality from the first meeting, pure and simple, apparent from the first outbreath, unmistakably sacred, God rising on the wings of their love. This is how the timely and the timeless become indistinguishable, when love meets God deep in the heart's inner temple. Does this sound insane? If it does, that's okay. Great love is the most exquisite kind of madness, an asylum of delight. Enter its gates, and divinity rises into view. Like all synchronistic delights, it's only madness until it happens to you. 1. Divine Preparation. Let's begin in the beginning, when I was preparing myself for this great adventure. There is always a preparation phase before great love comes. Sometimes it's a gentle one, sometimes it's a harsh one. Mine was downright ugly. Perhaps this is the way the universe works. It deals you an ugly hand before it deals you a beautiful one. The trick is trusting the beauty when it comes. It may never come again. As much as I want to tell a love story that doesn't include conflict, I can't. War has framed my life from the beginning, influencing and permeating every step of the journey. I have lived war, I have loved war, and even when I let it go, it has come back to reclaim me. We all have a way of being that we are here to outgrow. War is mine. I was born on a battlefield in suburban Toronto. From the outside, it didn't look like a place of battle, but suburban homes seldom do. In a well-coiffured subdivision, it had 2 rocking chairs on the sweeping front porch, a small man-made waterfall, and a sweet lavender garden that covered most of the front lawn. You would think that the Buddha lived there, it was that peaceful. Inside, there were 3 warriors. My histrionic Scottish mother screamed night and day, while my passive-aggressive Jewish father wavered between immobilizing depression and menacing attack. When their attacks on each other proved unsatisfying, they channeled their frustration in my direction. They needed a punching bag more than they needed a son, and I unconsciously obliged. Although they named me Lowen, they actually called me the mistake behind muffled walls. I wasn't the daughter they had longed for. We spent the first 17 years of my life in battle. If we weren't screaming at each other, we were screaming at our neighbors and relatives. The quiet times, infrequent as they were mere respites from our habitual way of being. Once everyone got a chance to rest and refuel, the arguments began anew, stocked with more ammo. Both as a necessary defense and as a perfect reflection of my male conditioning, I turned to armor as a way of being. With never surrender as my mantra, I navigated the battlefield with panache. At the same time, I was a complete mess inside. There are few things more confusing than going to war with parents who are diminishing you, particularly when you are very young. If you fight for your dignity, you risk losing the love you need from them to develop. If you don't fight back, you lose your self-respect and your development is stifled. How very confusing to have to fight for your right to be here against the very people who brought you into existence. The Abandonment Dance. When I finally escaped the clutches of my war-torn childhood, my forays into intimate relationship weren't much better. I had imagined I would find some refuge in the arms of the feminine, but instead found that old habits die harsh. Each of my first intimate relationships seemed to magnify yet another unresolved issue, most of which I would have rather kept buried. Soon after fleeing the war zone, I met my first girlfriend. A tender-hearted social worker, Naomi would come by with peppermint foot massage cream and pumpkin pie ingredients, hands at the ready. She wanted nothing more than to love me. She didn't stand a chance.